Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, and good night to all our listeners. I'm Janelle, and welcome to the 6th episode of Drive Talks. In the 5th episode, we talked about our dreams when we were kids versus the stark reality of adulthood, which led us to ask the question, what happened to us? In that episode, we uncovered many things and had many realizations about waking up to the reality of life and sacrificing our dreams to give our families a sustainable way of living. Now, for this episode, we are going to continue the deep talks about life and discuss the state of being stuck.
It sound right, boy.
Have you ever felt like your life is going nowhere? You know, like you're working and still having fun in your off days, but you don't feel any personal development happening in your own life? No self-satisfaction, no sense of fulfillment in everything you're doing at this present moment, that it leaves you with a feeling of being trapped in an endless cycle of working your butts off and paying the bills and debt. I can tell you right now, I have felt that many times, especially after graduating uni. And I'm sure most of you listening as well have felt the same too in one way or another. Which is why I chose this topic for today's episode, about feeling stuck in life and some of the things we can do to overcome this feeling, pick ourselves up and be better. We wake up early in the morning, get ready for work, and after 10 or so hours come back home feeling dull and tired with no sense of satisfaction for what we did and what we are doing on a day-to-day basis. I know for sure you have already realized by then that you're stuck on a loop that seems inescapable. Usually, the general question in mind would be, was I brought into this world just to work, pay bills, and die? I know that seems silly and a bit cliche, but the thought of being stuck on the rat race may make you believe otherwise. If you've been experiencing this for quite some time, surely you've already tried something that may change your way or change your cycle of life. But now, here's the situation. You've tried everything to improve your life, but nothing changes. Frustration ensues because you're unable to resolve the situation. Before we go further onto this, I just want to remind all you listeners and viewers that I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm only stating all my information based on experience and what I have read in several articles online. An article written by Tony Faucry on mission.org states that the feeling of being stuck in life is all about perception. The good news is that remaining stuck is only a perception and does not represent your actual reality. But the bad news of this is that feeling stuck is a sign that something needs to change in your life. You may have already thought of those changes or even tried to start making those changes in your life, but somehow you resist doing so for fear of change itself. You see, as human beings, we are hardwired to resist change. The part of the brain called the amygdala interprets change as a threat and releases hormones for fear, fight, or flight. So basically, your body is actually protecting you from change. And in general, we are afraid of change. We fear change because we lose control over our role and our power towards the situation. We become complacent and we tend to rely on the things we already know and the things we can also predict. No one likes feeling powerless, which is why if we want to change ourselves and become unstuck, information is power. The key to overcome feeling stuck is to distance yourself from the current situation to gain a wider perspective. That's why taking a break is useful, because you perceive your problem with a new mindset. As Albert Einstein once said, you can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. He was referring to developing a higher perspective to solve a problem formed by outdated and fearful thinking. So in order to overcome the problem, we need a new mindset. You see, if you're stuck on a problem, you have to step out for a minute and think outside the box. How do you think your friends would tackle the problem? How do you think a doctor, a teacher, heck, even a robber would try to solve the issue? A new approach and a fresh mindset might lead to the right solution. Once you have tried to formulate solutions to become unstuck, another tip is to get a different opinion on the matter. Talking to an unbiased person is beneficial to help you form a balanced perspective on the things that worries you most about change. You see, what you may consider as stuck may really be a holding place to gather new information before embarking on a new adventure. It may be the seed of an opportunity fertilizing itself for something better to transpire. What we always have to remember is that what may have worked in the past may no longer be useful to get you to the next point in your life. The last thing on my mind with regards to overcoming the feeling of being stuck is that excuses keep you stuck further. So to move forward, be honest with yourself and avoid hiding behind excuses. Avoid having a mindset of being the victim because this will definitely keep you stuck further. Take ownership of your choices and accept accountability for your actions. You may think that it's not going to help much, but accepting responsibility actually empowers you to change the cycle of destructive habits. Embracing and accepting your circumstances doesn't mean you like what's happening with your life and you like being stuck. Instead, you accept that it's taking place through you. Avoid being in denial of the reality of your situation, as this may cause more excuses rather than acceptance of change. I myself, I am not perfect, and I'm still learning every step of the way. But by making a few changes in my life, I somehow managed to change myself and be better than what my former self used to be. In the past few months, I've managed to start a volunteer group to help out fellow Filipinos in need. And recently, I took a swing in the dark and decided to start a podcast to talk about the things that are important to me, which may be of help to others as well. But don't get me wrong. There are still times in the recent days that I feel stuck. But instead of dwelling over the misery of self-disappointment and being scared of change, I embrace it and try out new ideas which I have planned out in my head. I do understand that everyone is different and each one of us has our own path to take in life. But what I would like to remind everyone is that being stuck in life cannot all be downhill and negative. Oftentimes, being stuck is life guiding us to the next stages of our life. So before I end this podcast, I would like to share with you something I came across while preparing for this episode. Here's a quote from the founder of the Ford Motor Company, Mr. Henry Ford. He states, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it." Thank you so much for listening. Looking forward to spending episode 7 with you all. Have an amazing week ahead. If you like this podcast, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We are also available in other audio streaming platforms. Check out the links below. If you want to share your own thoughts with regards to this podcast episode, please do share it with us through our Facebook and YouTube channel. You can also follow us at TikTok to see the short clips from this podcast.